Hello, my name is Joe, and welcome to Matching Brackets. In my spare time, I've been trying to work on a website for the channel, and I came across a really neat method to do it, and I was assured that it was totally easy. A lot of different people all over the web use this method for their websites, and I should do the same. I thought to myself, this method seems pretty cool. What do I have to lose? Well, in the end, I lost my temper, my sanity, and a few hours of futzing around trying to deal with all kinds of error messages that I didn't even understand. I thought, easy, my posterior. So I cut my losses and went back to the traditional methods, or the hard way, of building a website. So much for being so easy. I felt that if there was something the matter with me as to why I couldn't use this method, I thought it was my fault. From my point of view, all this method was an easy way to get frustrated. It seemed so convoluted and difficult that I just simply gave up. And it got me thinking about the new to Linux users who watch my videos. Maybe you're having trouble installing Linux. Maybe you're the one getting the error messages, and you see everyone installing Linux, using Linux, and loving Linux, and you can't share in all the fun for some reason. Maybe you've tried to install Linux yourself and you couldn't and had to go back to Windows. I've been there, and I've been there recently. And this is what I want to talk about today. So if you're in the mood to learn a little Linux, why don't you make a bowl of popcorn, get your favorite beverage, and settle in and join me in a discussion on the reality when it comes to Linux. Let's get started. Part 1, the promise and the problem with Linux. Why wouldn't you want to try out Linux? You've been told that Linux is free. After paying for Windows, Microsoft Office, and the Adobe products and everything else for all these years, finally something that's free. You've been told that Linux is more secure and faster than Windows. You've been told that Linux respects your privacy and that it brings other hardware back to life, older hardware back to life. It's a miracle, and you know what? All of these things are absolutely true. The problem isn't that these statements are true. It's just that they don't tell the whole story. The whole story is that most of the time, people are putting Linux on computers that originally came installed with Windows on them. Everything in their computers was specifically chosen for their compatibility with Windows, not Linux. And because everything was made for Windows, when you try to replace Windows with Linux sometimes, Windows isn't going to go without a fight. Windows is going to hold on to your computer as tight as it can. Windows wants to be the one and only operating system on your computer. Windows does not like to share. So the hardware plays into this. Different computer manufacturers use different hardware on their computers, and that hardware doesn't have a Linux-compatible driver. Then what Linux developers have to do is do things like reverse engineer a driver so Linux can use that hardware, and this takes some precious time to create. This situation happened right when I started learning about Linux. Linux was at loggerheads with a particular graphics card driver who didn't want to play nicely with Linux. So the Linux developers had to reverse engineer drivers so Linux could play with their graphics cards. It wasn't pretty back then, and it caused me a lot of frustration. I had thought it was something that I did wrong, but come to find out that it absolutely wasn't. I had bounced back and forth from Linux back to Windows so many times that my family started to make fun of me. The good news today is that more and more computer manufacturers are making computers specifically for Linux that you could buy right from their websites. They're becoming more and more Linux conscious. So the thing to take away is that sometimes for something to change, it takes time. There's nothing you can do about it except to be patient and hope that it works out in your favor. I kept going back from Linux to Windows until Linux started working without any issues, and I've been here ever since. It's not the matter of you not trying hard enough. It's the matter of reaching the breaking point and realizing, maybe now is not my time to switch to Linux. Let me give it some time and I'll try it again at a later date. That's what I wound up doing, staying away from Linux until the smoke cleared and it was okay to come back. Part 2, why people actually leave Windows. I'm sure people leave Windows for reasons. I don't know their story, but I'm very familiar with my story. This was back when Microsoft was really pushing OneDrive. OneDrive still exists today. If you're not familiar with it, OneDrive places your files online where it makes it easy for you to share files and collaborate with your colleagues or family on documents. There's also a backup aspect to it, but I didn't really care about that. The issue was that Microsoft was pushing OneDrive onto the masses, and I really had no use for it, and I didn't want it. I tried to turn off OneDrive, but the off button wasn't there. I tried looking for it, but I couldn't find it. I felt out of control. I was being forced to use OneDrive whether I wanted to or not. I was completely fine doing my own backups in the way that I've shown how I do them in previous videos. But still, it was Microsoft's way or the highway, it seemed. So I decided to hit the highway. I ran into Linux, and after doing my due diligence in researching this thing, I decided to make the switch. I didn't switch because Linux was easy. I switched because Windows became difficult in ways that I didn't want to deal with anymore. I was tired of being lied to, and I was tired of being told how to use my computer, which is how it felt using Windows. I was tired of being out of control. I'm not going to tell you that switching was easy. I did run into the crashing every so often because of the graphics card issue I told you about earlier. But like I said, eventually the crashing just stopped, and I stayed all this time on Linux. Part 3, Linux isn't hard until it is. When you're looking at switching to Linux from a Windows point of view, Linux is hard. Think about what Linux is asking the Windows user to do. All you have to do to switch to Linux is to literally rip out your heart and use this handy-dandy heart-shaped device. It looks like a heart, it works like a heart, and it's the same shape, but it's something completely different. Don't worry, you'll be just fine. Linux asks Windows users to either replace Windows with Linux, something completely unknown to them, or to dual boot Linux alongside Windows, something completely unknown to them, or to run Linux in a virtual machine, something completely unknown to them. If switching to Linux was posed to you and you knew nothing about it, would you do it? Let's be real. If you're using Linux as desktop, then things are relatively similar to using Windows. The actions are similar, the methods are similar. Here, Windows users should feel right at home with Linux. On the desktop, everybody and everything is fine and happy. But then what inevitably happens? Someone mentions, okay, open your terminal and type this magical spell in to correct the issue. And Windows users get scared and run away from Linux as fast as they can. And I don't blame them at all. First of all, was terminal the best name anyone could come up for this thing? Some might think you're trying to board a plane to a fantastic vacation on a sunlit sandy beach. Some might think that you're going to cross over into the other world. Some might think you have an incurable disease. You could have called it the command station. I'm taking command of this situation. Or anything else, not the terminal. You call it the terminal. What Windows users see is a never-ending black hole of death. Why does it have to have a black background? Couldn't the terminal have some kind of wallpaper to soften the blow? At least make it a solid color to give people some hope. So here goes the new to Linux user trying to get some work done in Linux that worked perfectly well in Windows. They're blindly typing in some magical mystical spell in the black hole of death. It's the makings of a Hollywood movie. I hope you can see what I mean. Part 4, the cost of learning. So after asking Windows users to rip out their hearts and to type some magical spells into the black hole of death, can you blame them for going back to Windows when Linux doesn't work? The pity of the matter is that sometimes they go back to Windows thinking that it's something that they did that made Linux not work. They're not expecting it to be a hardware issue or a UEFI settings issue. All they wanted was for Linux to work. I mean, that's exactly what they got when they fired up their Windows computer for the first time. They got something that worked. And because Windows works, they forgot about the frustrations that drove them to Linux in the first place until they happen again. And so goes the circle of life. It's the vicious cycle. They don't want a hobby. Well, not a computer hobby anyway. They don't want to study an operating system because if they did, they would have studied Windows. And they certainly don't want to troubleshoot. They would prefer to go to the Best Buy's Geek Squad, present their laptop, point to it and say broken, and expect someone to magically fix it and walk off with a working computer. Windows users are coming over to Linux. They just want to accomplish tasks. That's not laziness. That's normal. That's what anybody would want. That's what I want, and I'm sure that's what experienced Linux users want as well, right? I can't speak for other Linux users, but for me, when I first switched to Linux, I was so happy to be away from Windows that I more or less accepted the way Linux worked, and I just adapted myself accordingly. I got used to calling things packages and understanding that a place that holds a bunch of packages is called a repository. I got used to all the different kinds of names to things, calling a file explorer a file manager, and how there were different file managers available like GNOME Files, Nemo, and Thunar. Understanding the different desktop environments and knowing what each one looked like and how it functioned just by hearing the name of the desktop environment. I got used to being spoilt for choice because there was a lot of choice in Linux, more choices than I ever had before with Windows or Mac. It was a lot to take in, but eventually I began speaking the language of Linux. I began to appreciate the beauty of free and open source software. I began to appreciate the newly found freedom that I now had with Linux, and I never looked back. Consider this. Every so-called Linux expert was once an absolute noob, just like me and just like you. The difference is that they kept going with Linux. They kept learning and understanding and doing things the Linux way. It's like when you move to a different country and you have to learn a brand new language. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to make problems, but at least you're trying. Linux isn't easy, but it's not impossible either. It's different. And if you're new to Linux, then Linux is new to you as well. And different always comes with a learning curve. The question isn't if Linux is easy or not. The question is, what are you willing to do to finally break away from those things that once held you back? For me, Linux was more important than Windows was. And now I want to direct my focus into learning all I can. And that's what I want to share on this YouTube channel. I said yes to Linux, but I can understand the reasons why someone says no, and I don't push the point. But in the end, there's good news. Linux is getting better all the time. Manufacturers are embracing Linux. Features are being added and functionality is getting better. Bugs are being eradicated and frustrations are going away. Linux is getting better over time. I hope that you found this video helpful to you, and I hope that you're not too hard on yourself the next time you try Linux and wind up going back to Windows. I'd love to hear some of your experiences when you switched to Linux. What kept you with Linux? What made you go back to Windows? I'm not looking for people to bash on Linux or to bash on Windows. I believe that both have their places in the computing world, and those kinds of comments are absolutely useless. But I'd really love to hear your experiences. I hope this video has earned your like, your comment, and most importantly, your subscription. And if you like these videos for matching brackets, don't forget to click on the notification bell so you know when new videos are available. But that's going to be it from me today. Until next time, take care.